Yo, what is going on, guys? We're back here today, Pokemon Sword and Shield on Showdown, and we're going to be talking about a very special topic: why Stall is terrible in Gen 8 OU. Yes, I think Stall is garbage in the current metagame in this whole generation. I think it's just bad. It got nerfed heavily, which is great. I think Stall was really powerful in the last gen and even before that, but it's really not that good in Gen 8, so I figured I'd make a video on this because people have just been telling me stuff like, oh, if they ban stuff like Darmanitan, or they ban Dynamax, or they ban this, they ban that, whatever course the meta chooses to take. Well, people were worried that Stall would get out of hand, which has been true in the past. Like when a strong wall breaker gets banned, Balance and Stall do get more powerful. But I think as a whole in Gen 8, Stall is really not good, so I figured I'd make a video on some of the reasons why I think Stall is bad, some of the countermeasures, all that good stuff. And yeah, but before I get into that, I do gotta say that the agency merchandise is still live, so go get that. It's only live for the next day and a half, so don't miss out. This design's not coming back. Premium, champion, reverse weave garments, too comfy, crew necks, hoodies and t-shirts, so go check that out. But okay, so we're talking about Stall, right? So for the most part, some of the reasons I don't like Stall in the current metagame is because even though half the Pokemon were banned and we still got some prominent Stall Pokemon such as Ferrothorn and Toxapex, a lot of the Pokemon that we got introduced in this generation are also very strong. For example, Darmanitan alone is able to really pick off Stall because, for one, nothing can really switch into this and take 2 hits. People always are like, oh my god, Corsola is so powerful, but Bandit Icicle Crash does 55% to Corsola. That's a 2-hit KO. It can't switch in. You can't bring in something like Jellicent. Even max physical defense Jellicent, Bandit Icicle Crash does like 55 to 60%. Toxapex 1-hit KO'd with Stealth Rock Up by Bandit Earthquake. So it's not like there's a lot of Pokemon that can really take that thing on. I mean, yeah, you can switch around and predict correctly, but if they predict you one time, Darmanitan is really able to just finish off Stall. I've actually been using Avalugg. CTC put me onto the Avalugg tech because he's like, that's one of the few ways to beat Darmanitan, because you're able to use Body Press as they Flare Blitz. So that was like one of the few things that I believed when the CTC was like, yo, that's pretty anti. That's like the only way to take on Darmanitan with Stall, and I'm like, that's probably true. And I'm just like thinking about some of the Stall teams I have. I think I have my Umbreon one here, right? Yeah, this is my Umbreon Stall team, and it's really not that good because there's so many different Pokemon you have to run like Arcanine to be able to check multiple threats. For example, this is one of the Darmanitan counters for Icicle Crash. Like, this is what we were using. And that's definitely not like a very like solid check. This is like and it was also meant to check fairies as well. There's a lot of big threats in the metagame right now, and there's just a bunch of reasons in general why it's not that good. For one, let's talk about Dynamax. Now, even if Dynamax does get banned, and it most likely will get banned, for now Dynamax is really invalidating Stall because a defensive Dynamax is not as good as an offensive Dynamax. Because when you defensively Dynamax, your moves turn into attacking moves or max guard. You don't have Toxic, you don't have Recover, you don't have Will-O-Wisp, all the things that a Stall Pokemon likes. If Toxapex Dynamaxes, what's it gonna do? Go for Max Geyser, Max Ooze, and Max Guard. Like, that's not helpful for it. Yes, it got double the HP, but that's not that good. Meanwhile, if I Dynamax my Gyarados, Max Airstream is going to destroy your Toxapex. My Max Lightning from Dragapult is going to obliterate your Toxapex. In general, Dynamax and Gigantamax really threaten Stall Pokemon. And those 3 turns can really change the outcome of a game. And I mean, we even have moves from Pokemon like Dreadnought that set up Stealth Rock and are so strong. What can switch into that? You can always say Corsola can, but what if it's +2 Max Geyser in the rain? Good luck. Good luck. Like, Dynamax in general pushes a lot of these Pokemon to insanely powerful levels, as we all know. And so, with that reasoning, it's like, how can these Stallmons really survive? I mean, we can go through some of these Stallmons too. If we think about the ones that are most likely to be seen, Clefable, yeah, but most of these are Life Orb these days, and most Dynamax moves just destroy this, like Max Rockfall, Max Airstream, Max Geyser. It's gonna knock this thing out in like 1 hit. Ferrothorn, yeah, this thing is pretty effective all the time because it has Hazards and Leech Seed. Probably the best Pokemon. Gastrodon, I guess, but I mean, like all these mons, for example, lose to Darm and like Dynamax. Mandibuzz is pretty good as well. Jellicent and Hippo. Hippo's pretty good because the Hippo is able to take on Draco's ult, which otherwise obliterates Stall and all bulky shit. But yeah, I mean, you got Pyukumuku, Quagsire, the Stallmons and Pex. The Stallmons are kind of like almost the same, but I mean, there's no Chansey, which is a big deal because nothing can really beat Dragapult either if it's Specs. Like, what is switching into Specs Shadow Ball consistently? Like Spadef, Gastrodon? Not really, because it's just like I mean, there's not good ghost resist in general. You basically have to run Tyranitar, but it doesn't even get Pursuit, so I mean, hilarious. And then if you want to run Unaware, you have to pick Pyukumuku or Quagsire, which are both definitely not that great in the current metagame. And that's tough. I mean, you can even look at Pokemon like Dracovish, for example. Dracovish basically forces you to run a water immunity on your team if it's stall, otherwise you're screwed. Like, you have to run Seismitoad. You can't even really run Jellicent because Crunch can 2-hit KO Jellicent very easily. Like this team, for example, if I lost my Seismitoad to who knows how, but I lost my Seismitoad, I would get blown up by Fissure Wren. It would 6-0 me. It'd be done. Everyone would die. Even if it's Scarf, I'd still die because Corsola in the rain gets 2-hit KO'd, and God forbid it's Bandit, then I'm supremely fucked. And say it just Dynamaxes on Seismitoad and goes for 2 max Worm Winds and knocks me out, then it's like, oh, okay, fuck, I'm dead. So you really gotta think about these things. Like, a lot of these Pokemon, even though like stuff like Toxapex is back and half the game is gone, this shit gets blown up. Toxtricity, for example, can shred Stall. Ferrothorn is able to switch into it, but that's like the only thing. The rest of these dudes get popped. Not to mention Throat Spray, Dynamax, like Shift Gear, all that shit. Like it's a threat, man. It comes out to be a threat. Rain in general is what I found to be the best anti-stall technique. Like all these guys powered up by Rain are just very, very powerful. Barraskewda, for example, has amazing Dynamax moves. Close combat becomes Max Knuckle, gets +1. Psychic Fangs turns into Max Mindstorm, protects this thing from priority. Bounce gives you +1 speed, and then Liquidation sets up your Rain again. Like, you know, some of these mons go crazy. Some of these mons actually go crazy. Life Orb Exojo, for example. Life Orb Max Quake is going to flip any ground type at +2, and then +2 Rockfall is also good for taking out Rotom and Corviknight. So a lot of these Pokemon can Dynamax just to break through the sheer bulkiness. And remember, if you Dynamax a defensive Pokemon, you're not getting the same, like, it's not even. It's not even with Dynamaxing as an offensive mon, because you're getting pretty negatively affected by this shit. But yeah, let's see. Let's go from there. What else did I have down here? Oh yeah, there's also the rise of Pokemon such as Nasty Plot, Hydreigon, Gengar, just in general. Nasty Plot being risen, or not risen, but like given to all these different Pokemon makes them a big threat. For example, Hydreigon. Let me find that set. Is this it? Yup, here we go. This Hydreigon, for example, I'm sure you've played it. Sub Nasty Plot, Dark Pulse, Flash Cannon. This thing shreds Stall, man. This thing absolutely devours Stall. Very, very hard to deal with. Its bulk is great, and then Max Darkness and then Max Steel Spike. They're just good double coverage options. For example, this team could get destroyed by Hydreigon. Absolutely destroyed by a Hydreigon. Say I set up a sub on Rotom Wash, a Nasty Plot up, and then, you know, I'm able to Dynamax, so I actually live Draco, and everyone dies. Everybody literally dies on this team. Like, it'd be done. Everyone would just Dynamax Darkness. Hydreigon, I mean, this is definitely like an offensive team, but a bulkier team. Think about that. They would get smashed too. Corsola finished. People would be running Umbreon, but what exactly is Umbreon doing? It's not even breaking the sub with Foul Play. So you're going to take a +6 Max Steel Spike, and then you're done. You're absolutely finished. So there's not much you can do. There's really not much you can do versus those types of Pokemon. I mean, Gengar is a pretty good pick as well, but I definitely prefer Hydreigon. I think its bulk is just really, really nice. But what Gengar set was I running? This the one? Yup, Nasty Plot. This is the Psy Resist Berry, or the Ghost Resist Berry, so you can live, what's that thing's name? Dragon Pulse, Shadow Ball. So you can run this set as well. But yeah, Nasty Plot in general is just really, really good. And the fact that they give it to so many Pokemon, especially Hydreigon and Gengar, gives this thing, you know, gives Stall in general a really big problem. Another thing we need to talk about, Toxic is no longer available on a lot of Pokemon in this metagame. Toxic is really, like, they just got rid of it as a TM. So a lot of Pokemon that used to love that move, like Hippo and stuff, can just no longer run it. And Toxic is one of the best anti-Dynamax tools as well, because at least you can put that giant threat on a timer. Like, if Gyarados is out there, at least you can live Toxic and then get some chip, rather than attack with your defensive wall and it does like 0% because it's, you know, Dynamax. It's bulkier already. And so yeah, the lack of Toxics really sucks for a lot of these fat mons. And basically just, if we go through the resources, you got to think some of the Pokemon that are mandatory. For example, Seismitoad is literally mandatory, because otherwise Fissure Wren will 6-0 your team. I don't see how you could run a Stall without that mon. Even Jellicent, I guess you can, but, or Gastro, but Gastro can get fucked up by the physical moves, because this thing's not that bulky physically. But you guys get what I'm saying? Stuff like Dracovish, for example, just completely invalidates Stall if you don't run Seismitoad. So then if you play Seismitoad, you can always just bait Seismitoad too. What if you have Giga Drain on some random threat or whatever the case may be? Yeah, nothing else can really take that mon on, but I guess that's an extreme case. But we look at Hydreigon, for example. Pex, destroyed. Seismitoad, destroyed. Quagsire, Pyukumuku. I mean, Pyukumuku just loses 1v1. I'm pretty sure it gets flinched down, but I don't know, we'll see. Maybe it can just sit there and recover all day and PP Stall, but that's not really a countermeasure. Quagsire, destroyed. Mandibuzz, set up on... Well, actually, Mandibuzz is kind of good if you have an offense, because you can U-turn out to a faster mon. But if it's all bulky mons, that U-turn is not going to save you, so you're still fucked. Ferrothorn, set up on, like, even Clef +2 Flash Cannon is over. It's over, man. Viable Pokemon from the 8th generation. Corviknight, Setup Water. Corsola, Setup Water. Who else is fat here? Like nobody. It's tough. And we're even using shit like Umbreon. You saw my Umbreon stall, right? And this set sucks because you can't run Toxic. This is just to take on Specs Dragapult, which is still a gigantic threat to this team because if rocks are up, Umbreon really doesn't take Draco that well. And neither does really anything here. But yeah, no Toxic means Stall has a lot less viable options than they have to attack. And just the biggest thing for me is the skew between Dynamax for offensive and defensive. An offensive Dynamax is so good, but a defensive Dynamax is quite mediocre. Quite mediocre. I mean, yeah, you get double your HP back, but you guys have seen me do it. I've Dynamaxed my Hippowdon to take on the Darmanitan in front of me, and then Max Quake doesn't even kill, so it's like, shit. I mean, this kind of sucks. And I mean, like, there's so many Pokemon in this generation that can wall break very, very effectively. The fact that Max moves are able to bring weather conditions to boost up water type moves, fire type moves, I mean, terrains with electric type moves, Mind Storm, psychic type moves. You know what I mean? Like, Pokemon are setting up the field for themselves in such a skewed way, thanks to Dynamax and just different moves in general, and like all these abilities, such as Strong Jaw for Dracovish, Hustle for Dracozolt. Like, all the wall breaking, like, strategies have just gone up. Like, it's so much more viable. Like Aegislash, for example, this thing is still wall breaking crazy. It's nice though. I like it. I like how threat and stall has been in the metagame. You'll still see your Toxapex, Ferrothorn, Mandibuzz, but as for full stall, I really think it gets crushed by a lot of different archetypes. But let me know what you guys think right below in the comments. Give the video a like, all that good shit. Go check out the agency merch, of course. I'll probably be uploading a vid on why Rain is super good tomorrow. But yes, peace.